Hey y'all, I'm back and I have another scary story for you guys. This was submitted by Dustin, my favorite person on this planet, posting a lot of stories on the subreddit, and I'm like loving every single one of them. I've turned a couple into shorts, so they haven't been in like a video, but I'm gonna read this one for a video because it's a little bit longer. I still feel like this video might be kind of short because I'm just gonna read this one, but I'm sure it's gonna be amazing, so does it really matter? So this story says, I faked being sick in my childhood and now I'm starting to remember what happened that week. I don't remember much of my childhood, but the parts I do remember, I wish I could forget. I hadn't thought about that week in years, not until I started cleaning out his garage. This place still smelled like motor oil and sawdust. The old fluorescent light buzzed overhead, flickering every few seconds like it was trying to remind me that time doesn't move the same in places like this. I found a half-finished workbench in the corner. Dust settled over it like snow. The same one Dad said he'd finally finish when he had time. He never did. Even with the windows cracked and the door rolled halfway open, the air clung to me. Sawdust, WD-40, old sweat, and rusted metal. The kind of smell that sinks into your skin. I stood there for a while just breathing it in like it might fill the hole in my chest. He was gone. 3 weeks ago, the cancer finally won. It wasn't sudden. We had known for months, maybe longer, if I'm honest with myself, but even when the chemo started thinning his hair and turning his skin that gray-yellow color, Dad never wanted to talk about it. It's just a bump in the road, he'd say, and he meant it. He still worked in here up until the last 2 months, dragging himself out of bed with a thermos full of black coffee and a stubborn glint in his eye. I'd tell him to rest, and he would grunt something like, "Nah, I still got a few good licks in me." Then he'd go tinkering with something that didn't need fixing just to prove that he still could. I used to sit on that upside-down milk crate and watch him work. We would listen to the radio, WLIK on low, playing some twangy acoustic stuff that I hated as a kid and miss now like hell. He didn't say much, never did, but when I would hand him a socket wrench without being asked, he would nod like it meant something, like maybe he was proud of me in his quiet way. I think about that more now, all the things he said with gestures, the way he would pat my back when he passed by. He wasn't a perfect dad, not by a long shot. He yelled when he got overwhelmed, shut down when he didn't know how to help. Hell, when I came out as gay, he just nodded and flicked the TV channel over to Will and Grace. He never really knew what to do with feelings, his or mine, but he showed up every time, even when I didn't deserve it. And now I'm standing in the middle of his garage with my childhood in one hand and nothing but silence in the other. I would come home to clean the place out, after the funeral, after the casseroles, after the endless parade of "I'm so sorry" from people who didn't know him. Not really. I knew Mom and Tori couldn't deal with it. I was going through his old toolbox when I found it. My Space Jam blanket, folded neatly in the bottom of a milk crate. Sun faded and worn thin at the corners, and the blood stains soaked into the fabric and turned slightly brown with age. It was tucked beneath a tangle of orange extension cords and a cracked thermos. I don't know why he kept it. Maybe he forgot it was even there. But the second I saw it, I swear I felt 12 again. And then that whole week came back. The one that we never told anyone about. The one I thought I'd imagined until now. 2003, Monday. Monday morning, I woke up to the sound of birds tapping on the gutters and the muffled slam of a screen door somewhere down the street. April's sun was slipping in through the blinds in soft golden stripes. I reached for the alarm clock, blinking at the numbers. 7:04 a.m. School started in exactly 26 minutes. I rolled back over and coughed, dry, flat, fake. But I'd been rehearsing all weekend, practicing in the mirror, rasping like I had strep, even holding the thermometer to the light bulb for a second too long before chickening out and shaking it back down. I wasn't sick, not in the way my dad would understand. I just couldn't go back. Not to the jokes, not to Luke Bennett and his sharp elbows and sharper laugh, not after what he whispered in gym class last Friday in front of everyone. The door cracked open, and Mom peeked her head in. Her face lit up when she saw I was awake. "Hey, sweetie." Her voice was soft and sing-songy, like she used when I was sick for real. "Feel any better this morning?" I shook my head dramatically and gave a weak little sniff. "Not really." She crossed the room and sat on the edge of my bed, brushing my bangs off my forehead. Her fingers were cool and gentle. I remember she was still in her bathrobe, the pink one with the blue flowers. "You feel warm," she said, though I was pretty sure I didn't. I didn't say anything. I just gave her the most pitiful look I could imagine. Okay, she smiled, smoothing the blanket. I'll go talk to your dad, let him know you're still sick, and see what he says. She kissed my forehead and stood up, but before she reached the door, my older sister's voice floated in, sarcastic and smug. Fake, she said, peeking her head around the corner with a smirk. She was already dressed for school, backpack over one shoulder, highlighted hair pulled into a sloppy ponytail. Shut up, Tori, I muttered, keeping my voice low so Mom wouldn't hear. You better hope you're actually faking it, because if I catch the plague from you, I'll kill you myself. I flipped her off. She raised her eyebrows like she was gonna rat me out, but she didn't. She just snorted and walked off, calling over her shoulder, "Enjoy your sick day, loser." Mom didn't notice, or pretended not to. She just shook her head. "Leave your brother alone, Victoria." Mom walked away, muttering something about the two of us being impossible, and padded down the hall towards the kitchen. After a few minutes, I heard Dad's boots thud down the hall before he knocked twice on my door. He always knocked, even if he was already turning the handle. My head wasn't hot, my throat wasn't sore, but I pulled the covers up to my chin and added a few dry coughs for effect. I'd practiced them the night before. "Hey, you good, buddy?" I coughed again, this time with a little throat rasp. "I still don't feel good." He stepped in, his dark work shirt was already tucked into his jeans, sleeves rolled up, the familiar day-old patch stitched over his chest. His hair was still wet from his shower, and he smelled like Irish Spring. He crossed the room in 2 strides and laid a calloused hand on my forehead. His fingers smelled like engine oil. "Doesn't feel like a fever," he said, "but you're pale." I didn't say anything, just looked up at him from the nest of blankets. The morning sun hit the side of his face, and for a second, I thought he looked tired. And not the kind of tired a nap would fix, the kind that just builds and builds until it lives in your bones. He didn't press it. He never did when it came to me being sick. I think after my surgery, he started to believe I was made of glass. When I was 5 years old, I had a brain tumor. It was removed though, and I was fine, but it scared the hell out of him and Mom. "Just rest, okay?" he said, already halfway out the door. "I'm gonna work in the garage most of the day. You need anything, come get me." He turned back towards the door, then paused. "You want anything? Waffles? Cereal? Maybe toast?" "Coming right up." He left without another word, humming something low and tuneless. I waited until I heard the faint click of a toaster lever and the sound of the garage door creaking open before I climbed out of bed. Spent the first couple of hours exactly how I imagined, sprawled on the carpet watching The Amanda Show on my old Zenith box TV, sipping Capri Sun through a chewed up straw. My feet were cold. I didn't mind. The house felt calm, like it exhaled once the world left for work and school. I knew every sound it made, the way the fridge clicked when it kicked on, the creak of the hallway when you stepped just right, the faint clunk of the dryer vent in the wind. But around 11 a.m., something was off. I was halfway through a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, flipping through an old Nintendo Power, when I heard a thump. Not from outside, not from the garage, from the hallway. Just one, a soft thud, like a dropped shoe or someone stumbling. Then nothing. I muted the TV and listened. Silence. I tried to laugh it off, but something in my chest pulled tight. The air suddenly felt heavy, like when a storm's about to roll in. I crept to the hallway and peeked down it. Every door was shut, except the closet. The one by the bathroom. Its door stood cracked open just an inch, just enough to show darkness inside. I hadn't opened it. I was sure of it. I stood there for a long time, heart punching the inside of my ribs. Then I grabbed the broom from the laundry room and, like an idiot, poked it shut from a distance. Click. I exhaled. Later that afternoon, I asked Dad if he had opened it earlier. He looked up from the engine he was working on, grease on his fingers and forehead. "What closet?" "The hallway one, by the bathroom." He shook his head, wiping sweat off his brow with the back of his arm. "Haven't been inside all day." He didn't say anything else. I think he chalked it up to my imagination, or nerves, or both. But that night, I couldn't sleep. The ceiling fan rattled gently overhead, and the streetlight lamp outside my window painted familiar shadows on the wall. I pulled the blanket up to my chin and counted the blinking red numbers on my clock. 2:13 a.m. I was just starting to drift off when I heard it. A low hum. Not a sound I recognized. Not the fridge, not the fan, not the vent. It was inside the wall, soft and vibrating, like a voice pressed through insulation. Then, something moved across the ceiling. Not a shadow, not a trick of light. Something that didn't belong. Something crawling, but too smooth, too slow. It passed just above me like a ripple in the plaster, just long enough for my breath to catch in my throat. I didn't scream, I didn't move, I just laid there, every part of me rigid, listening to the silence that followed. I didn't know it then, but that was only the beginning. Now, I shuttered the memory away and pulled out my phone to write this so I didn't forget. I tucked the blanket into my Jeep and decided to drive home for the night. I have to come back to do more work in the garage and it's already so late. I'll post more about that week tomorrow. I'm like, and did you? And did you? Because where is part 2? I don't believe there's a part 2. And if there's not, I'm suing. Yeah, I don't see it. Where is it? Okay, well now I'll be patiently waiting for part 2 because I'm assuming this will somehow relate to their dad passing, but I also don't know how it's going to relate because I feel like that was such a huge part of the story for a reason, and I need to know why. I need to know what the fuck it was, because crawling across your ceiling, but like in the ceiling, like in the because the vision I have in my head right now is horrifying. Oh my god, I need the second part. You said it would be up tomorrow and you posted this 5 days ago. Where is it? Okay, but in all seriousness, Dustin, I love reading your stories. I feel like there's just so much emotion in them and it makes it like so fun for me to read. I don't know why. I feel like I get so into these. If you're still working on part 2 or you have part 2, I would love to read it. Thank you so much for the amount that you submit to the sub. It blows my mind. And if you guys don't know, so Dustin, while he submits stories to the subreddit and writes stories clearly, he has a TikTok account as well. And the reason we found Dustin is because you guys had tagged me in his TikToks because they're like scary TikToks. And so it started with me watching his TikToks. I'm pretty sure he had commented on one of the videos and was like, oh my gosh, that's me. And he had been posting on the subreddit. So I was like, oh my god, that's insane. Like makes scary TikToks, writes scary stories, and just so happens to like know who I am. Once I get part 2, I promise I will make a video ASAP. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any stories you want to share with me or the community, whether they are real or fictional, I would love to read them, and I'll have my subreddit link down below. If they are fictional, just flare it as no sleep so I know. But other than that, I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.